Hi everybody, so now we will be talking about our next lesson, and that is going to be about absolute value equations and inequalities. So our goal will be to solve equations and inequalities involving absolute value. So just a quick review here. When we talk about absolute value, it's pretty much it's the specific value and we are disregarding the sign of the number. Okay, so if we have, say for example, what is the absolute value of -5? Okay, that is simply 5. Okay, when you have the absolute value of +5, again it's going to be just 5. Okay, so the absolute value of any number is simply you disregard the sign, whether it's positive or negative. It's just always the positive value for that. Okay, so if we have the variable to be inside our absolute value symbol, so let's say I have the absolute value of x is going to be, let's say, 10. Okay, so how many x values do you think will we have? We're gonna have 2 possible values of x. Why? Well, there are 2 ways on how we can get an absolute value that is equal to 10. All right, so the first one is, what should be the number inside here so that the absolute value is equal to 10? Well, first off, it's going to be a positive 10, right? But is only positive 10 the only value that can give us an absolute value of 10? It's not. There's actually a second value, all right? And what is that second value? What other number can you put inside the absolute value symbol that can give you an absolute value of 10? -10. All right, so here's the thing. When you are solving an absolute value equation, you are solving for 2 possible values of x. One will be a positive value and the other one will be a negative value. Okay, so one technique that I can give you is that when solving an absolute value equation, it's going to be the same as solving an equation, except that when we are solving a regular equation, we want to isolate x, correct? In this case, what we will isolate is the whole absolute value. Okay, so our goal is to isolate the absolute value expression. All right, whatever is in the absolute value, it has to stay in by itself. Okay, so let's have some examples on what I was talking about. So what are the solutions of the absolute value of x plus 2 is equal to 9? And then we have to graph and check the solutions. All right, so our goal again is to isolate the absolute value. So the goal, isolate the absolute value of x. Okay, that. So what will we do first? Okay, so in this particular example, we have absolute value of x plus 2 equals 9. We only want the absolute value of x, so we need to get rid of the plus 2. How do we do that? Well, we already know that we have to subtract by 2. So we also subtract by 2 over here. Okay, so now what is our expression? It is now just the absolute value of x is equal to, what is 9 minus 2? 7. So what are the values of x? And again, as I have mentioned earlier, when you have absolute value of x, there will be 2 ways on how you can get an absolute value which is equal to 7. X will be equal to positive 7. That's one way. And then the other value of x will be -7. Okay? Because if you put -7 in there, the absolute value is 7, I should say. Sorry, my bad. So how are you going to graph the solution? Well, since you have 2 values of x, one is at -7, the other one is at +7, and they are equals. Okay, they are just solid dots. on those two. We are not putting any arrows because this is not an inequality, okay? So those are our solutions. So why don't you try this next example on your own? Find the value of n. Go ahead. So for this example, again, our goal is to isolate the absolute value expression. So we will be adding 5 and we will end up with an absolute value of n is equal to 3. And what are the two values of n that will give us an absolute value of 3? It will be positive 3 and negative 3. And graphing, they will just be solid dots on both of those numbers. All right? So let's have this example next. So starting from 100 feet away, your friend skates towards you and then passes by you. She skates at a constant speed of 20 feet per second. Her distance d from you in feet after t seconds is given by this expression. So at what times is she 40 feet from you? Okay? So if we're going to visualize this, let's say that this is you standing up over here, okay? And then the question is, at what times is she 40 feet from you? So from you, there are two ways 40 feet could be measured, all right? Here, if she is still just approaching you, okay? This is 40 feet, and let's say this is your friend, okay? So that's 40 feet, and then she passes you, and then it's gonna be another 40 feet. Okay? And this is where she is gonna be next. Okay? So the question is, how long or what times will she be, will this person be 40 feet away from you? Okay? So since our value here, our equation is given already for us, so we will have the distance that we are looking at is 40 feet, and we need to solve for t, okay? And so we will have that d is now going to change to 40 is equal to the absolute value of 100 minus 20t, okay? Do we need to make any addition, subtraction to isolate our absolute value expression? No need, all right? The absolute value expression is by itself. So imagine if this is just one variable, absolute value of x. How can you get an absolute value that is equal to 40? This whole expression, okay? So when we are looking for the two distances, 100 minus 20t could be equal to, okay, positive 40, okay? This expression could be replaced by positive 40. The other possible work would be 100 minus, nope, sorry, it's minus 20t. So 100 minus 20t, what should be inside this expression to get an absolute value of 40? The other way is if it is negative 40, okay? So there we go. We now have two equations. We simply solve for t. And so go ahead, continue working on this. Make sure that you get a value for t on the blue equation and another value of t for the red equation. Try it out. So solving for t on the blue equation here, your friend will be 3 seconds away from you. She will be 40 feet away from you at 3 seconds, and she will be 40 feet past you after 7 seconds. Okay, when she's skating at a constant speed of 20 feet per second. Okay, all right.